one career myth that you would like to break today?
Any university tells you it would be very easy for you for getting a job in India. We'll be helping you out for this and that. Nothing comes easy. There's always tough side of every other industries which is unexplored by you.
Canada, UK, that students are really finding it hard to find jobs, even people who directly want to move to these countries. So which industries are taking most of these people?
Management, ITs and healthcare, even tourism, hospitality management. These industries are some of the highlighted industries in UAE.
A lot of them pick BBA. Honestly speaking, when someone says that okay, I've done BBA, it's taken in a more less serious way. It's assumed that it would have been a very easy process to get in.
Yes, you rightly said that BBA is something which people have an understanding back of their mind that it is a very easy to go subject. But you need to understand the practicality of a business, how a business runs.
Indian parents, students still very open to the idea of going abroad in general. Have you seen any change in preferences?
Yes, there has been a sudden shift of a lot of Indian students, especially from the north region, just because of the strict immigration protocols.
We meet again to share some life stories, some experiences in today's episode, Dilemmas of a High School Graduate, with our guest Manish Raj. Hi Manish, how are you?
I'm doing great, Sanya. How are you?
Good, thank you. So tell us something about yourself, your education, your work, about yourself.
Hello everyone, my name is Manish. I've been graduated and I've done my bachelor's in business administration. It's my 4 years of journey in this educational abroad edtech field, and I've been working since last 4 years in this industry, and I have a good experience and knowledge about different countries, their immigration protocols, their educational protocols, their educational journey, students' journey, and their parents' feedback on how other countries work, and especially about UAE.
That's great. That's quite relevant, I think, to the news that's coming in, like the war situation and what Trump has been doing, just ever since he's been re-elected.
Yeah.
So, how do you think is the sentiment right now? Are Indian parents, students still very open to the idea of going abroad in general? Have you seen any change in preferences?
So yes, there are a lot of changes happening in the not only from the past 1 year, but also from the past few years. Not only in a particular country like US after Trump, but also in particular countries like Canada and Australia as well. There has been a very big shift in immigration protocols. There are very strict protocols happening. There are countries which have been blacklisted. There are countries which have been red highlighted. Yes, there has been a sudden shift of a lot of Indian students, especially from the north region, just because of the strict immigration protocols. And yes, just to highlight about the Trump situation, what had happened recently. Yes, students nowadays who were preferring US previously have shifted or diverted themselves towards a different market just to grab opportunities to unexplored markets like UAE especially.
Okay.
Because we are seeing a lot of rejection cases. Like the rejection rates of these countries has drastically increased. But that has neither affected UAE as of now, because this market is something which is very relevant for Indians. And they've, especially UAE has given a preference to Indian students, especially for giving an acceptance of almost 99% of visa success rate.
That's great.
There's hardly any rejection. The only rejection which we have in UAE is just because of the medical history if you have.
Okay.
Neither of it, if you are any students who have gotten a rejection due to XYZ reasons, of course, we'll be going through your profile once.
Yeah.
Just to see what is the exact reason of the rejection, because we also do not know whether the embassy will be following up with you in what sense or what not. But yes, the acceptance ratios and the shifting of students from US and other countries to UAE has increased drastically, very big.
That's interesting to know, because UAE might not be something which comes on top of the mind, when someone thinks about going abroad. So, why do you think, except for the flexibility of entry criteria, the visa success rate, why do you think one would like to go to UAE for their, or Dubai for that matter, for their higher education? More in terms of the practical side of things, like student life, because I personally feel someone who's going for education anywhere, it should be beyond classroom and not just restrictive, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
So my basic thought is, as of now, what everyone knows about UAE is a tourist destination.
Yeah.
just to explore that place and come back to India or their respective countries. But they've never explored UAE as a market, because as a market in studies as well, and also as a market in terms of industry specialization as well. So as of now, what I have seen in UAE, that it has been one of the fastest growing economy in the entire world. There are almost all the companies have an office in UAE, and all the upcoming universities, all the universities of different places have their sub branch in UAE as well.
Yeah.
A different branch in UAE, which are also giving a degree of that relevant country, of other countries like UK, US, Canada, and even we give students a degree of France-based degree. So what we have seen is UAE is right now just not a oil manufacturing company or oil manufacturing country where you can only export or import oil, what UAE was famous for. But UAE is a global hub for all industrial practices, all management students, and especially tourism and hospitality students.
Right.
So this aspect, which has been unexplored as of now, and which is unaware to students and their parents as of now, that is the main thing which we should be addressing students, that the affordability what UAE offers and the quality of studies and the global exposure what the students would be getting,
Right.
that is extremely undiverse and untouched. Because what we have taken a feedback, what we have gotten a feedback from parents and students who have already studied in our campus, they're all positive. There are hardly any negative pointers. Secondly, the major major positive point of UAE is the employment rate. As of
Okay.
now, UAE stands in some of the highest employment rate countries, of an employment rate of around 78%.
That's really high.
That is comparatively twice or thrice what we can get in other countries.
Yeah.
So that these explorations are not yet done by Indian students especially. There are different countries which are exploring UAE. There are diverse country students who are staying in Dubai, who are staying in Sharjah, who are staying in different different areas of UAE and getting a good salary paid jobs, and even getting a good future for their family members as well.
As you mentioned, employability. So the employability rate is pretty good, I would say, compared to other countries, especially when there've been news about Canada, UK, that students are really finding it hard to find jobs, even people who directly want to move to these countries. So what industries, because someone who might want to go to a different country for work or study for that matter would definitely want to plan few years ahead of time. So they would want to know, okay, what industry is booming, not just now, but a few years later as well. So the employment rate, as we talked about, so which industries are taking most of these people?
So management, ITs and healthcare,
Okay.
even tourism, hospitality management, these industries are some of the highlighted industries in UAE.
Okay.
And these industries are overtaking all other industries, because management and IT are some of the major departments of a business, which runs the business, which are the pillars of a business, and majority of the businesses runs on these protocols of management and IT fields, because these are all are the backbones of a company. And as UAE is one of the best countries for tourism, the hospitality and tourism industries, which we offer as well in our courses, these industries are booming a lot. We have 5-star, 7-star, 6 stars hotels available. We have partnership with them, and these hotels specially specialize students in a way that if you come back to any other countries after getting an exposure to these hotels, these tourism facilities and faculties, you'll be getting an experience which could also give you certain exposures to untouched markets of different countries.
Right.
So that is something which I would highly suggest students, and these all are the major factors in UAE as of now, which should be addressed to the students as their upcoming big scenarios and big marketplaces for their career.
Right. And I think it's a good mix of industries. Like management is not something that would be rather in demand in a lot of other countries. So that's really promising. I recall my few days in Dubai soon after pandemic, when everyone was trying to get up and restart pretty much. I found it to be a very aloof of the issues of the world, and just going on with their spirit, and a very diverse place, not just Indians, but you could actually see people from various backgrounds. I was in Dubai for majority of time. I used the public transport, and it was pretty simple and easy to access, and it's just a 3 hour flight pretty much from
Yes.
India. So I think from Delhi for that matter, so it wouldn't feel that you're outside, you're not in India. It's very much, you can connect to a lot of things. So yeah, I think altogether it could be a good place to explore beyond tourism. And now coming back to our focus for
Yes, just to add on to it, as you told that proximity is of
Yeah.
course 3 hours away. One more thing to highlight, especially for girl students, about the safety concerns.
yeah.
I just wanted to know your feedback on your visit to Dubai. What was your concerns about safety and how you felt about there?
So that was something I had always heard about, that it's one of the safest places to be in. So I was definitely keeping an eye open to see if that were true. And I would say it was. I was with someone and we were out exploring the city late in the night as well. And I don't think we felt uncomfortable at any point. There were streets which were quiet. No one was there, and yet we felt that okay, there's nothing to be worried about. So I would vouch for the safety, definitely, not just for, I think, because if you talk about some places in the US or UK, pickpocketing has really gone up. So even for men or women, doesn't matter, I think everyone has something to be afraid of, and that is very unlike and uncommon on the streets in Dubai or UAE for that matter. So yeah, my experience was great.
Even there are different factors, especially for students as well. There is racism factors in different countries.
Yeah.
There's a lot of news which are upcoming in other countries about student safeties and all.
Yeah.
So we need to be very focused, because nowadays parents are very much concerned about their students.
Yes.
Because they would be living there alone. There won't be anyone. There would be very minimum chances of their relatives being in that country. There won't be a lot of students whose relatives would be in that country.
Yeah.
So for that matter, especially for girl childs, countries where safety is kept on a priority for international students, and especially in terms of racism and diversity,
Yeah.
that is something which is very particular and which is one of the best factors of UAE for
Yeah.
getting your degrees and studies in a country where you and your parents as of such would be feeling very safe to you to send to a country where
Yeah.
there won't be any problems, or there has not been any issues in the past years as well.
Yeah, I would say that even like having traveled to a few other countries, even for a tourist visa, you need to have a huge lot of documents. So if you're visiting your kids now, if we be realistic, most of the students going from India abroad would be the middle class ones, where the parents are literally giving out all their lifetime savings for that one degree of their kid. They might not left with enough, to go themselves, see them there, meet them on the graduation day, and so on and so forth. Some practical little things that they might not think about in the earlier phase. But I think listening to you from you about Dubai or UAE for that matter, I feel that it's very much easy for even them to see their kid, because travel is not such a big deal. To visa is very, very easy. So yeah, I think it tick marks everything that a family and a student could be looking at. And yeah.
So there are 2-3 factors on this. First factor is, yes, it is very easy for you to get a visa.
Yeah.
There's only an entry permit which you need to receive, either for a student, either for a visitor visa as well, for their parents who are planning to visit there as well, even for tourist places. Second major thing is, regardless of other countries, which requires a kind of a fixed funds which is required in a bank account to be shown for your visa.
Yeah.
There are strict immigration rules. There are strict interviews which are taken. There are waiting times of minimum 3 to 4 months in countries like US. So these countries' immigration protocols have been changed a lot.
Yeah.
And coming on to UAE, which is again a very strict country, but also very easy to go country especially for Indians. So these factors also relate to students on easygoing countries and getting an assurity that okay, if I'm spending X amount of my money in my visa, that money won't go on waste and I'll be secured over there. I do not need to keep a second option with me if at all I'm planning to keep UAE as my preference for my studies. And even getting an extension of those visas are very easy. If there are people living in UAE, there are my friends, my relatives living in UAE for past 30 years and easily getting an extension with their families and themselves as well. So getting an extension in UAE, even for a work visa or a student visa or a visitor visa, it is very easy for you. And choosing a pathway, I'll give you an example. If you're directly going for a work visa in any country, it would be relatively hard for you.
Absolutely.
And if you're studying in a country and then applying for a job because you're already studying and working part-time in a country, you're getting that exposure, you're getting a network built by yourself. Helping that network you to get an offer letter, get a sponsorship letter from a company can relatively get you easy go through and path pathway through for getting an employment visa and getting an extension as well. So
Yeah.
these protocols help students for making a career build for their future as well.
I think you brought it at the right time, the extension of visas and after study journey. So most of the people who want to go abroad are going for settlement. Now, of course, US, UK. I personally feel that it's not, I mean, PR alone is not going to give you the life you want. It doesn't guarantee you a job. It might give you, of course, some benefits of being in the country. But if, like you said, 30 years in a country without being on a PR is still better with a regular or with a consistent source of living, income, safety, of course, ease of traveling back and forth whenever you want to, and it's a tax-free country, of course, not to forget that. So
Absolutely.
I would rather say that go to Dubai if you can. It's not that hard. Just explore it, and if you're not even sure of whether you would like it or no, you can just go on a tourist visa. It's not so hard. See how is it going with your family, and I don't think everyone would get a chance to do it in other countries. You can't, because it's a big decision. You're almost starting a new life. So yeah, I think it's actually a dream destination, and it's beyond a night in Dubai, like that song is. So you can actually plan many years in the city, and it could be a great experience. Yeah.
Yes, not only that, there are a lot of opportunities given to students. Let's suppose
Yeah.
you're a student. By any means, if you're not able to get jobs after your studies, there are multiple options and multiple visas which are being offered by the country, like freelancers visas and all.
Yeah.
These all visas, freelancers visas, are valid to 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year as well, depending on which criteria you match. And these criterias help you easily explore the job opportunities.
Right.
They do not require a sponsorship letter or something else for a freelancer visa. You can easily enter that country in that visa. You can explore that country.
Yeah.
And even you can get into certain jobs which you have not explored. So this countries has given you tremendous options in terms of getting you settled, not in terms of properly settled, but also getting
Yeah.
into a country where you can become a good asset to a country.
Absolutely.
That is the main aim of a country. So if you're becoming a good asset to a country, that country will allow you for an extension as well.
Right.
So it directly depends on what all activities, what all platforms, and what all things you are involved in
Yeah.
while you are studying, while you're working part-time, while you're working full-time as well.
Right. Tell us something about your experience as a student, because we would have viewers who are yet to start maybe with their graduation, who've already done it and struggling with jobs or whatnot. So what did you study in your graduation?
So I studied Bachelor's of Business Administration, especially
Okay.
related to accountancy, finance, marketing, and all the core things of a business which we need to know before we start.
Right.
So as of now, what I'll tell students, especially Indian students, that Indian education is a good education, no doubt on that. We are growing day by day.
Yeah.
We are having a good strict protocols happening in that. But there are few lags, of course. That is the main reason students are planning to study abroad. The major factor is practical experience and case studies, which are as of now not being done and indulged in schools and colleges. That is the biggest gap. Otherwise, everything is good to go. We have well experienced teachers in
Yeah.
India. We have well experienced people in India who are teaching students. It's just that the curriculum and the modules which are taught, they
Yeah.
do not include practical experience, practical exposure, and the skill set which is actually required for a student to get a job. What I've seen, and you might also see in multiple news, there are students, there are toppers of IITs, there are toppers of different top B schools as
Yeah.
well, who are not actually getting a job in terms of getting a good grades.
Yeah.
They're asked for a good skill set. That is the main thing. If at all you are studying and working part-time in India or in abroad, that is the main thing where you will be getting skills built. Part-time working as in any country, in any domain. I'll not tell you that any job is big or small.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you get opportunity in any field, you should go and grab that, because that would actually affect you getting a good skill set for getting a good job. And that is relevant not only in India, but especially in UAE market and abroad markets.
Yeah.
Because it's not only about studies, it's also about your exposure to that global market and building a very big network.
True.
Because the faculties which we have in our university, Brits Imperial University College, we have faculties from all around the companies who have worked in top multinational companies and all, they have a good network built by themselves. If you're building a good network with your professors, with your colleagues, and with people who have a good experience and studying with you, eventually you are building networks with other industries as well for
Right.
exposures as well. Eventually, if let's suppose after completing a studies or eventually while studying as well, you can connect with them for getting an exposure to their companies where they have networks as well.
Right. If you talk about students, who are about to like they'll be finishing their 12th or would be waiting for their results, even now at this time of the year. And of course, the ones who have maybe done arts or commerce for that matter, a lot of them pick BBA as, but honestly speaking, when someone says that, okay, I've done BBA, it's taken in a more in a less serious way, because it's assumed that it would have been a very easy process to get in, must not have been very like you said, the practical, because in science you still have the access to labs and stuff like that. So how did you find your experience of studying in a commerce subdivision, I would say? And like you mentioned very rightly about the practical exposure, did you do something besides your studies to get that? Because there are so many internships in the current times, and students are very smart. They've started doing freelancing at a very young age. So how did you navigate through that?
So my experience is a lot different. Uh, I mistakenly or positively got into an edtech industry after completing my bachelor's. While my bachelor's degree was ongoing, there was a COVID period. Okay, so fortunately or unfortunately, I was unable to do any internships at that point of time because it was complete work from home, complete shutdown in the international industries, in the markets and the global markets as well. So at that point of time, of course, I was not indulged into internships and all. Once the COVID was ended, my graduation fortunately ended. So after that, I explored different markets. It's not that I go and went for a job and I got that job. I explored different markets, including edtech, including other fields of sales, especially because yes, you rightly said that BBA is something which people have an understanding back of their mind that it is a very easy to go subject. It is. I'm not telling you it is. It isn't. But you need to understand the practicality of a business, how a business runs.
Yeah.
Because it's not only a subject that is specifically giving you that knowledge. It's also the kind of efforts you make apart from that subject.
Yeah.
Every other subject would be a easy to go subject for you unless you're not getting a proper and a correct knowledge which is supposed to you for getting a good job in that particular field. So previously BCom was a very high on demand market, and eventually there was a new subject known as BBA came across. So BBA is not that old of a subject, so it was a very new subject for me, my parents, and as I was from a commerce background from my 12th as well, I studied my 12th from DPS.
Okay.
My hometown is in Jharkhand, so we have a campus of DPS over there as well. So DPS gives you an exposure, like all these top schools in all these states and all. These schools give you an exposure and a brand value with you as well. Once you tell the brand value and once you are out with that exposure, because my school gave me an exposure of different companies, we were indulged in different projects from our schools itself. So I know where to approach and where not to approach. Okay, that gave me a upfront advantage in my bachelor's.
Right.
In my bachelor's, I was very connected with my professors. That was the first thing which I did because I didn't know anyone.
Right.
That is the same protocol what we follow in our university as well. There is an orientation program because once you are in a new country, the major factor is you do not know anything about that country.
Absolutely.
You do not know about the laws. You do not know about which faculty which will be teaching you which things. You do not know if I have a XYZ problem tomorrow, whom to approach for that problem. The students are unaware about that. So what we do as of now for streamline these students' protocols, because these problems are faced by us as well.
Right.
So there is an orientation program which is always held in our university as well, and which I would suggest everyone to help.
Yeah.
held in their university. In that orientation programs, we introduce you to all the faculties first.
Right.
We introduce you with all the laws and factors which you need to follow in a country where you have not been before as well. That is the same process which you need to follow. And if you are facing any kind of XYZ problems, there is an internship department, there is a faculty, there is a student affairs team, and different other team members who are always there on the campus
Right.
and in your university as well to help you out.
Right.
So getting into all the opportunities which is coming actually on your way. There would be opportunities which might not come, which are being unseen by you, but you need to grab those opportunities and explore those opportunities, especially because if you're just relying on education, you'll not get into a good company, you'll not get into even a company if you're just relying on an education. There has to be certain skills, certain knowledge based educations, certain practical experiences, and certain things which is related to your further careers. For an example, we need to start including projects which are real life based projects.
Yeah.
That actually makes students very profound with the what to say, that makes students very profound with the challenges which they might face and they are unaware about, and how to handle those challenges in the meantime, because you are on the real time, you are working real time on that project. There would be X number of things which are not taught to you, and that could come across as a challenge for you in that project. So
Right.
these things are certainly the things which are not taught to you in India, and that has to be particularly taken care by students especially to explore that market
Absolutely.
and get a good skill set especially.
Yeah. And I really like the part where you mentioned that after your graduation, you did not feel restricted just because you've done BBA, but you did have the orientation, or you did have the courage, I would say, to explore what comes out of that particular, horizon. So I think that's a great message to our viewers also, parents or even students themselves, whether it's in India, whether it's abroad. They must not think that they are limited to what they've just studied. Pick up on the skills, see, like it's more like a matchmaking, right? That okay, now I have these skills, irrespective of the industry, this is where I can use them. And yeah, I think that could really make a lot of difference. So how was your first job hunt experience? Like, I feel that it's no less than an entrance exam. One really has to go through a lot of hassle to get into the first job. But a lot of times students probably take it for granted, like, okay, we will start it once our degree is done. So they are very much occupied in the degree alone. So what would be your suggestion to them? Like, what's a good way to go about it?
So yes, there was a lot of challenges which were faced by me, especially because I've never been to any internship because of that COVID period. I've never been to any interviews before. Before any interview I go, there was, even for any rejections which I've gotten, there was a positive aspect to it, because I always knew a new thing, what questions might be asked. Because yes, there were preparations which I do, there were videos which I saw on YouTube, how to what will questions are majorly asked in an interview, what will questions I should be prepared about. And especially to the market scenarios of getting into a diverse subject like bachelor's in business management or business related courses, you're open to a diverse network. You can either go in an accounting field, marketing field, finance field, sales field, or different aspects of field, or a management field like a manager or not. So these all aspects were open for me. I was exploring all other markets. It's not I was only restricted upon markets which I was good at. Let's suppose I was good at accounting. I was not only focused on going into a specific field on accounting, because if I at all restrict myself in a specific field, that would ultimately not lead to me in exploring other markets. Because eventually, once you are in a administration level or a management level of an organization, you need to know all aspects of a business to run a business and get the cash flow as well. So these aspects were particularly known to me once every rejection was given to me. So after every rejection, there was a good and a positive aspect which I go through. There was new questions which were asked by every other interviewers, and eventually there was one interview which held at the very end after multiple of them, that I got selected, fortunately. And at that point of time, all my interviews were held virtually, because
Okay.
the COVID period just ended and they were
Yeah.
not at all lot open at the same time.
Yeah.
It took time to open all the industries.
Yeah.
So I was giving all the interviews online, and it took me a very big step because I was selected for the final interview for a company, and then I fortunately told my parents that I am traveling to Delhi, and that was a very big decision for my family as well, because of course, yes, I'm not the only child of my parents. I'm the smallest child. I have a big brother who is working in an IT company in Bangalore. But they actually leaving your hometown
Yeah.
is a very difficult part in your own life after your graduation as well. Because in graduation as well, I was only out of my town for just 1 year. After that, 2 years was my COVID period.
Yeah.
So again, making that decision for a job seeking role which could get me into a good future, and fortunately it did.
Yeah.
So I took that decision, and yes, things comes good in the very end. If things are not good, absolutely that is not that.
I think I'm in awe of this statement you made. I think it's just that you should not give up, right? You just keep trying and trying, and one day it's gonna be there. Yeah.
So
That's
of course
great.
there is always a magical day which happens in
Yeah.
your life sooner or later, and that
Absolutely.
same things happens to especially students. Nowadays students are struggling a lot because of the competition, a lot, to be
true.
very honest. There's a lot of competition in India market, there are a lot of competition in other market scenarios. There are students investing a lot of amount in their studies and returning back with nothing.
Yeah.
So these all aspects actually do not motivate students for going abroad, because I'll just come apart from that point, especially for students, because what I've seen, universities as of now are charging a lot of tuition fees.
Yeah.
Okay, especially European universities or UK universities, US universities. A lot of universities has a minimum tuition fees of 15 that can go up till 40 lakh rupees
Yeah.
or 60 lakh rupees a year. And it is a very competitive market. The employment rates of almost all the countries has drastically decreased.
Yeah.
Dubai has an employment rate of more than 89 or 90%, which has also slightly decreased. Although UAE market has not that much been impacted by the criticism, because in UAE, what is there? There is a lot of demand. There's a lack in supply in UAE in terms of industries, in terms of all your markets.
Yeah.
The demand is too much, and the supply is very less. And the supply can only be done if there is a lot of good assets in that company. That can only be done if there is a good student studying in our campus with a
Right.
good intention of doing and getting a proper exposure for their international career.
Right. I think we've given a lot to think about to our viewers, hopefully, and now is it time for just a quick, fun, rapid fire.
No
So my first question to you would be that what did you learn the hard way? One thing you learned the hard way.
So the one thing which I heard the hard way is my struggles, the challenges which I fought not only on my studies but also in my job, the difficulties and the new things which I've always come across learning every day.
Yeah.
So every day for me is a new day. And I always explore and get to know new things every day. It's not like I'm doing the same thing every day. It's not like I'm doing the same challenges or same motivation is very different in every other day. There would be days which would be good, there will be days which would be very bad for you.
Yeah.
But the major setback for me is always keep pushing yourself. And if
Right.
you're actually pushing yourself, you're pushing your limits. And once you're pushing your limits, you would be in a way, not today, not tomorrow, but eventually in a day, in a situation in which you will be actually telling that yes, everything makes a worth.
Great. That sounds positive.
Yes.
So the next question would be one career myth that you would like to break today.
One career myth is nothing comes easy.
Okay.
Okay. Eventually, if you tell anyone that, or any university tells you that it would be very easy for you for getting a job in India, we'll be helping you out for this and that. Nothing comes easy. There's always a tough side of every other industries, which is unexplored by you. So it's just about getting all the opportunities done at the right time. It's never too late for anyone.
Right.
So eventually, if any student or anyone who is thinking that it's too late for me for getting into that opportunity, it's too late for me for starting a business, it's too late for me for getting into a new job, It's not actually.
Right.
It's regardless of your age, it's regardless of your education, what you did. It's just the opportunities which are coming across your way. You just need to grab that.
Right. The last question would be one skill that you wish schools had taught.
Case studies.
Okay.
Case studies are the best and the easy ways which students can explore market scenarios, which students can explore different projects which are related and non-related to their academic calendars and academic academics, all their academic journeys and subjects. Case studies can actually help students for exploring different challenges of different aspects and with different fields. If you're doing a case study in a project, let's suppose I'm a student, I'm doing a case study on Asia market, on their fallbacks, on their rejection rates, on everything, that could help me actually getting knowledge which is not limited. In that, sky is the limit actually.
Great. So, so I think it's been a very interactive and useful session for our viewers, for the reason that it's very candid, it's very unique to your personal experiences, and that's great. It's great that you could share those. To wrap this session up, my final question to you would be that it's more around the mental health, the anxiety that people experience at work. Now, you've been working, you mentioned that you face a lot of rejections. You finally got the first job and then you've switched a few. So, there have been a lot of reports that people are struggling with anxiety at work. And it's across board, not just India, but it's something which is very common. The current generation, which they call as Gen Z, I think that's the one who's being highlighted for such issues. So how do you manage your emotions at work? I think EQ has become very seen. It's seen more now. It's appreciated more, and it's required also. So how do you manage your emotions at work? What was the biggest shock you noticed when you started working from college to work? And in your case, the college was also, unfortunately, during the COVID. So you must not have got that chance to experience the real, student life as such. So yeah.
So my major setback would be getting a job. Okay, let's come on to the mental health first.
Yeah.
So for the mental health students, especially for the Gen Zs, they really find themselves and they really want a job which is very easy to go. And there's no job which is easy to go, even eventually in any field.
Yeah.
There are my friends who think that there is a perfect company for it. There would be a perfect company they would be working
Your
in.
friends are going to DM you after this.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's always a perfect company. There's always this. There's always that. There's no perfect company. Okay. There are multinational companies which would give you the same struggle,
Yeah.
which would give you the same mental health. There would be startups. There would be a few extra unexplored markets
Yeah.
where eventually you'll work, you'll face those challenges. My first thing would be face it. Let's face it for the beginning. Let's see how it goes on for you, and then try to understand what exactly was wrong that was made by your decision that made you in that situation. So explore first that.
So
But
it's
yes,
introspection. Like you first ask yourself that
Yes.
what was my role in the situation?
yes, what I
Yeah.
did wrong,
Yeah.
and actually face it. Do not try to avoid that situation,
Right.
because eventually if you're avoiding that situation would come to your path, not today, not tomorrow, but there would be a certain
Someday,
day
yeah.
which you will be falling apart. You'll fall apart if you're not handling those situations. So eventually my personal suggestion would be face challenges. If there is a challenge, always keep those challenges in a very positive factor.
Right.
If you're taking those challenges and negative factors, eventually that could be anything. If, like, let's suppose you're working in a company, you're not getting the performance done which is required in a company. It's fine. Try your best.
Yeah.
If you're not getting that, that is a secondary part. Eventually, the main factor for you should be try your level
Yeah.
best. If you're not able to do that, it is fine. Explore something new. Try your best over there. There could be instances, there would be multiple attempts that could be done by you.
Yeah.
And all those attempts might fail, but eventually there would be one attempt, one magical moment for you, especially in that attempt will make a setback for all your attempts. That would be worth it.
Yeah.
So just wait for that moment and try very hard. And if you're just avoiding any of your struggles, do not do that. That can affect you in your future for
Yeah.
your future challenges as well.
So I think to sum it up, you just have to work until you find that magical moment,
Yes.
endure your struggles, and after that it's just gonna be easy. Of course, you don't stop
It's
working after
not-
it, but
it's
you just
not-
keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not only about getting that magical moment afterwards. It would be an easy
Yeah,
path.
yeah.
It's always a struggle after your magical moment as
Yeah.
well. So it's all about pushing your limits.
Yes.
Because once you are in a designated role with certain responsibilities,
Yes.
it's not like your work comes very less. Your burdens, your responsibilities increases.
Absolutely.
Because the entire P&L of a company depends on your actions which are taken by you
Absolutely.
for getting the targets achieved from your teammates. It is your
Yeah.
responsibility. So burdens and responsibilities increase a lot.
Great, yeah.
It's not like it is very easy. Let's suppose if even as of now, if I'm taking a leave from my company, I would be having a proper conversation with all my colleagues that yes,
Absolutely.
I am on leave. You guys, if you need any of my help, anything which is required from my end, I'm always available for you. The
Right.
responsibilities increases. Eventually, what was my mindset while I started the work? Okay, it is my leave. I'll do nothing. So that mindset will not come in the very beginning. It will come with an experience and with an acknowledgement with the exposure of the market, and eventually when you are getting into a responsibility
Yeah.
of getting into companies P&L and getting a companies profitably moving forward with a good cash flow, then yes, there would be responsibilities you'd be handling on your day offs, on all the days which you actually need an off. Eventually you're not feeling well
Yeah.
or anything comes apart, you need to be ready with the situation which you have not handled before.
Right. So I think that was great advice. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for your time today. I hope our viewers enjoyed the session, and we will see you again soon with another guest, another story that you can feel inspired from.